You've killed before, not recklessly, not emotionally, strategically. You told yourself it was business. You told yourself it was survival. You told yourself it was necessary. But tonight, the target isn't a rival. It isn't a traitor. It isn't a threat to the empire. It's your brother. The message came at 11:42 p.m. No greeting, no explanation. Just a photo. Your brother stepping out of his car. Timestamped 5 minutes earlier. Then one sentence underneath. Prove your loyalty. Your chest didn't tighten at first. Your brain rejected it. This is a mistake. Wrong person. Wrong name. Wrong message. Then your phone buzzed again. 24 hours. You read it 3 times. Then you sat down, slowly, because the weight of those 2 words wasn't panic. It was calculation. The family doesn't joke. The family doesn't bluff. And the family doesn't repeat itself. You call the only person who can confirm this isn't a sick test. Marco. He answers immediately. Silence. Then you saw it. Not a question. Yes. Another pause. It's real. You close your eyes. Why? They think he's talking. Your head snaps up. To who? Doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Because your brother isn't part of this world. He owns a mechanic shop, works long hours, complains about taxes. He hates what you do. He's told you that. He's begged you to leave. But talking to who? Proof. You ask. Suspicion. Marco replies. Suspicion. The same word that started your rise. The same word that ended other men. Tell them it's not true. It's not my call. Of course, it isn't. This isn't about truth. It's about loyalty. And loyalty in your world isn't measured by words. It's measured by sacrifice. You sit in the dark for a long time. Memories surface without permission. Your brother teaching you how to ride a bike. Fighting kids who bullied you. Splitting the last slice of pizza when there wasn't enough. He stayed when your father left. When money ran out. When things were ugly. He stayed. And now the family wants proof you won't. You drive to his apartment at 1:13 a.m. You don't tell anyone. You just need to see him. To confirm he's real, alive, unaware. He opens the door, half asleep, hair messy, old t-shirt. Same face you've known your whole life. You okay? He asks. Because he can always tell when something's wrong. You nod, automatically. Lie, automatically. Yeah, he studies you. You look like hell. You almost laugh. The apartment smells like motor oil and cheap coffee. Normal. Safe. He walks to the kitchen. You want something to drink. You watch him move. Casual. Unprotected. Unaware. There's a countdown above his head. Why'd you come this late? He asks. You don't answer immediately. You're thinking. If he is talking, if he is cooperating with someone, it could destroy everything. But if he isn't, then this is just a test. And tests have rules. Refuse. You die. Warn him. They'll know. fail. Both of you disappear. You ever talk to anyone about me? You ask casually. He freezes, turns slowly. What about work? About the people I'm around. He frowns. I don't even know what you do. You've never mentioned my name to anyone. He laughs slightly. Why would I? You search his face for deception. There isn't any. Just confusion, concern. You in trouble? He asks quietly. That question hits harder than anything. Because yes, but not the kind he can fix. You check your phone. 21 hours left. You stand. I've gotta go. He grabs your arm lightly. You sure you're okay? You nod again. Then you say something you haven't said in years. I love you. He smirks. Yeah, you too. If he knew what that meant tonight, he wouldn't be smiling. Back in your car, your mind splits into two voices. Voice 1. It's just business. If he's talking, he's a liability. Voice 2. He's your brother. He protected you before you ever had power. You grip the steering wheel tighter. The family gave you everything. Status, money, protection. But they also took pieces of you along the way. This would be the final piece. At 3:07 a.m., your phone buzzes again. A live location pin. Your brother's phone. They're tracking him, watching, making sure you don't warn him. This isn't just an order. It's surveillance. You're being tested as much as he is. You drive to the warehouse. The same kind you've stood in before. Concrete floors, metal beams, dim lighting. This time, you're not receiving orders. You're receiving a deadline. The boss stands near the center. Calm, still. You understand what this is, he says. Yes. Blood clouds judgment. Yes. Prove it doesn't cloud yours. You hold his gaze. Is he talking? That's not the point. You swallow. Then what is? The boss steps closer. The point is whether you belong to us or to him. There it is. The real test. Identity. Not information. Not suspicion. Allegiance. You have until tomorrow night, he says, quietly. If he breathes after that, you don't. No anger. No threat. Just fact. You leave the warehouse with 18 hours left. You sit in your car in silence. This isn't about your brother. This is about you. Can you kill the last part of your old life? Or will you let it kill you? The sun begins to rise slowly over the city. And for the first time in years, you don't feel powerful. You feel cornered. And the worst part, you know something no one else does. If you pull the trigger, you'll survive. But you won't recognize yourself afterward. 17 hours left. You haven't slept. You haven't eaten. Circling blocks, watching his mechanic shop from a distance. He's inside right now, laughing with a customer, arguing about an engine problem, completely unaware that his life has been reduced to a timer. You check your phone again. The live location is still active. They're tracking him, and they're tracking you. You're not just being tested, You're being observed. You think about running, taking him, disappearing, but you know how that ends. The family doesn't chase loudly, they erase quietly. If you vanish, they'll assume guilt. And then your brother won't just be a test, he'll be a message. Your phone vibrates. It's Marco. You moving? He asks. There's a pause on the other end. You know they won't extend it. I know. He lowers his voice. You don't have to do it personally. You look at the shop across the street. That would be worse. Because if someone else pulls the trigger, you didn't protect him. You outsourced his death. That feels colder, somehow. Listen, Marco says carefully. This is bigger than him. Is it? Or is that just what men say when they've lost perspective? You joined knowing what this life demands. Marco continues. Yes, but he didn't. Silence. Marco doesn't respond, because that's the part no one wants to admit. 14 hours left. You park outside his apartment again. This time, he sees your car and walks over. You stalking me now, he jokes. You step out. He studies your face, the humor vanishing. Okay, what's going on? You can't tell him the truth. If he panics, if he runs, if he calls someone, they'll know. They always know. You need to leave town, you say quietly. He blinks. What? Take a trip. Today. He just stares at you. Why? Just trust me. He takes a step back. This is about your job, isn't it? You don't answer. His expression hardens. You're in deeper than you told me. Yes, and now it's affecting me. Yes, he exhales sharply. I told you this would happen. You look away. He steps closer. Are you in danger? You hesitate. Yes, and I fix that. How? You swallow. By leaving. He laughs, a soft, bitter sound. You think I'm scared of whatever mess you're in. It's not fear, you say. It's survival. He studies you, then shakes his head. I'm not running because you chose a bad path. That sentence hits harder than the order did. You chose this. He didn't. And now your choices are reaching for him. 10 hours left. You sit alone in your apartment. Gun on the table. You've never looked at it like this before. Not as a tool, but as a fork in the road. If you do it, you live. You keep your status, your power, your identity. If you don't, you lose everything. Maybe your life. Definitely your position. But you keep something else. Something you haven't valued in years. Yourself. Your phone buzzes. It's a photo taken just minutes ago. Your brother leaving the shop. A digital crosshair drawn over his chest. The message underneath, ticking. Your heart pounds. They're pushing. They want you to feel it. To rush. To panic. But panic causes mistakes. And you've made enough of those. 6 hours left. The sky darkens. You text him, dinner, 8 p.m., same place as always. He replies almost instantly, trying to make up for being weird all day. You don't answer. The diner is half empty, familiar, safe. He sits across from you in the same booth you've used for years. He's talking about work, about a new contract, about a normal life. You barely hear him because you're studying him, memorizing him. This could be the last time you're not listening, he says. Sorry, he leans forward. What's really going on? You look at him, at the person who knew you before the suits, before the money, before the blood. If I asked you to forgive me for something I haven't done yet, you say slowly, would you? He frowns. That depends. On what? On whether you're choosing it. You sit back. There it is again. Choice. Everyone talks about loyalty like it's destiny, but it's always a choice. Every trigger pulled, every order given, every silence maintained. You chose them. Tonight, you choose again. 2 hours left. You walk him to his car. He stops before getting in. You look like you're saying goodbye, he says. You force a small smile. Maybe I am. He pulls you into a quick hug, unplanned, uncalculated. And in that 1 second you know. You already decided. 11:12 p.m. 48 minutes left. You drive to the warehouse. Alone. Your gun on the passenger seat. You walk inside. The boss is waiting. Of course he is. Well, he asks calmly. You place the gun on the table between you, untouched. He's not talking, you say. That wasn't the question. You meet his eyes. I won't do it. The silence is heavy, thick, final. You understand what that means. Yes, you choose him. Yes, no shaking, no hesitation. Because once the decision is made, fear loses its grip. The boss studies you for a long moment, then nods slightly. 2 men step forward from the shadows behind you. You don't resist. You don't beg. You don't explain. You made your choice. And for the first time in years, it feels like it was yours. The gunshot is loud, sharp, immediate, then silence. But the silence doesn't last, because this isn't the end, not yet. In the shadowy world of the Mafia, loyalty is everything. It's the currency of power, the shield against betrayal, and the foundation upon which empires are built. For Marco, a man who had clawed his way up from the streets, loyalty was the very air he breathed. He was known for his sharp mind, his unwavering nerve, and his absolute dedication to the family, especially to Don Vincenzo, the aging patriarch who saw in Marco the future of his criminal dynasty. Vincenzo was a man of old-world traditions, a leader who valued honor above all else. But he was also a shrewd and calculating strategist who understood that power, once gained, is a fragile thing. As his own strength began to wane, he knew he had to be certain, absolutely certain, about his successor. The air in Don Vincenzo's private study was thick with the scent of old leather and cigar smoke. It was a room where fates were decided, where lives were weighed and measured. Marco stood before the Don's imposing mahogany desk, his posture straight, his expression unreadable. He had been summoned without explanation, a call that always sent a chill down the spine of even the most seasoned soldier. Vincenzo looked at him, his eyes like chips of obsidian, sharp and penetrating. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. His voice, a low, gravelly rumble, cut through the silence. "Marco," he said, "there is a task, a final test. It is the most important thing I will ever ask of you." Marco simply nodded, his heart hammering against his ribs. But his face remained a mask of calm deference. He was ready for anything, or so he thought. Vincenzo leaned forward, the dim light glinting off the silver in his hair. "There is a threat to this family," he began, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "A leak. Someone close to us is talking to the feds. We've traced the source. We know who it is." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in the room. Marco's mind raced, scrolling through the faces of their inner circle, trying to pinpoint the traitor. Who could it be? Who would dare to betray the Don? The consequences of such an act were absolute and final. The Don's next words hit Marco with the force of a physical blow. "It's your brother," Vincenzo said, his gaze never leaving Marco's. "It's Leo." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Leo, his younger brother. The one he had protected his whole life. The one who worked a simple, honest job as a mechanic. Completely removed from this life. It was impossible. Leo was innocent, naive even. He wouldn't know the first thing about their operations. "Don," Marco started, his voice strained. "There must be a mistake. Leo, he's not involved. He knows nothing. He's a civilian." But Vincenzo cut him off with a sharp wave of his hand. "The information is solid," he stated, his tone leaving no room for argument. "He's been seen. He's been heard. He is the weak link that could bring us all down." Marco felt a cold dread wash over him. This couldn't be happening. It was a nightmare. Then came the order, the one that would forever define him. "You will handle it," Vincenzo commanded, his voice cold as steel. "You and you alone. No one else can be trusted with this. Take him somewhere quiet. Make it clean. Prove to me that your loyalty to this family comes before anything else. Before blood. Before your own brother." The room fell silent again, but this time the silence was suffocating, filled with the unspoken horror of the command. Kill his own brother. The words echoed in Marco's head, a deafening roar. He looked at the Don, the man he had looked up to as a father, and saw only a cold, ruthless stranger. Every instinct screamed at him to refuse, to fight, to defend his brother's honor and his life. But this was a test. He knew it in his gut. A test of loyalty so profound, so cruel, it bordered on madness. For what felt like an eternity, Marco stood frozen. A war raging within him. On one side was his ambition, his entire life's work, the power and respect he had earned within the family. On the other was Leo, his innocent brother. The last true piece of his old life, the embodiment of a goodness he himself had long since left behind. He thought of their childhood, of a promise he had made to their mother on her deathbed, to always look out for Leo. How could he break that promise? How could he live with himself if he sacrificed his own blood for a crown built on betrayal? His mind was a whirlwind of conflict. But as the seconds ticked by, a strange clarity began to emerge. The choice, as monstrous as it was, became simple. There were lines that could not be crossed, not even for a kingdom. Finally, Marco lifted his head, his eyes meeting the Don's unwavering stare. He took a deep breath, and when he spoke, his voice was steady, filled with a resolve he didn't know he possessed. "No," he said, the single word hanging in the air like a final judgment. "I will not." Vincenzo's expression didn't change. He simply watched, waiting. Marco continued, his voice growing stronger with every word. "If you believe Leo is a threat, then I will bring him to you. We will question him. We will find the truth. But I will not murder my own brother based on a shadow of a doubt. My loyalty to this family is absolute, Don. But my loyalty does not make me a monster. I will kill for you. I will die for you. But I will not kill my own innocent blood. If that makes me unfit to lead, then so be it. But this is a line I will not cross." He stood his ground, fully expecting the worst. He had defied a direct order from the Don. In their world, that was a death sentence. He braced himself for the signal that would bring the guards, for the cold finality of his own execution. He had made his choice, and he would face the consequences. But the signal never came. Instead, something remarkable happened. The hard, icy exterior of Don Vincenzo began to melt away. It was a genuine smile, one Marco had not seen in years. The old Don leaned back in his chair and let out a soft, low chuckle. The tension in the room instantly vanished, replaced by a sense of profound relief. "Good," Vincenzo said, his voice now warm, filled with pride. "That is the answer I was waiting for." He gestured for Marco to come closer, to stand beside him. "The test was not whether you could kill your brother, Marco. The test was whether you would. A man who would sacrifice his own family for power is a man who cannot be trusted. He is a man ruled by fear and ambition, not by honor. He would eventually betray anyone to save himself." Vincenzo stood up and placed a heavy hand on Marco's shoulder, his eyes twinkling. "I needed to know that the man who takes my place understands that he has a code, a line that he will not cross. You have proven you are that man. You have a heart, a conscience. That is what makes a true leader, not just a killer." In that moment, everything changed. Marco was no longer just a subordinate. He was an heir. He had been tested in the cruelest way imaginable and had not been found wanting. The Dom's words were a revelation. He finally understood the complex nature of the man he served. Vincenzo wasn't just a gangster. He was a king searching for a worthy successor. One who understood that true strength lies not in ruthlessness, but in the wisdom to know when to show mercy, when to uphold honor above all else. The story of Marco's test spread like wildfire through the underworld, not as a whisper of disobedience, but as a legend of integrity. He had refused to kill his brother, and in doing so, had secured his throne. He had proven that even in a world defined by violence and betrayal, the bonds of family and the strength of one's own character were the ultimate measures of a man. His reign, it was said, would be long and prosperous, built not on fear, but on a foundation of unshakable, hard-won respect. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. See you next time.